5 decades of working in gardens teaches lessons that no book ever could. And the hardest lessons? They come from plants that looked absolutely gorgeous at the nursery and turned into complete nightmares the moment they touched the soil. These are not rare exotic plants either. These are plants being sold at garden centers right now, plants neighbors recommend, plants that look innocent in a photo. But behind that pretty face is a root system that doesn't know when to stop, a seed head that travels for miles, or a growth habit that will swallow your entire yard whole. Sam here from Seniors Gardening Advice, and this video could save years of back-breaking work. Stick around to the end because plant number 7 surprises almost everyone, even experienced gardeners. If this kind of honest, practical gardening knowledge helps you, please give this video a thumbs up right now. It helps more gardeners find content like this. And if you haven't subscribed to Seniors Gardening Advice yet, click that button below. New videos go up regularly, and the community here is incredible. Plant number 1, running bamboo. Running bamboo might be the single most regretted plant in residential landscaping history. It looks stunning, tall, green, rustling in the breeze, perfect for a privacy screen. That is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Homeowners plant it along a fence line, expecting a living wall. What they get is a root invasion that travels underground for 30 or 40 feet before the first shoot even appears on the other side. The underground stems of running bamboo, called rhizomes, move horizontally through the soil at astonishing speed. These rhizomes are powerful enough to crack through concrete foundations, lift paving slabs, and push up through asphalt driveways. In several U.S. states, planting bamboo without proper underground barriers is actually illegal, and in many HOA communities, it is an outright ban. What makes removal so brutal is that even a tiny fragment of rhizome left in the ground will sprout again. Homeowners have spent upward of $5,000 and $10,000 hiring professionals to fully excavate a bamboo root system and still seen new shoots appear the following spring. The safe alternative is clumping bamboo. Varieties like Fargesia robusta or Bambusa oldemi stay compact and do not send rhizomes running across the neighborhood. Always verify the type before purchasing. The label matters enormously here. Plant number 2. English ivy. English ivy has been romanticized for centuries, climbing brick walls, draping over stone fences, covering bare ground under trees. It photographs beautifully. The reality of managing established English ivy is a completely different experience. This vine spreads by both root and stem. Any section that touches bare soil can root and produce a new plant. Once it climbs trees, the added weight of dense ivy coverage changes the wind resistance of the entire canopy, making trees more vulnerable to storm damage. In Pacific Northwest forests, English ivy creates what researchers call ivy deserts. Forest floors so completely carpeted in ivy that no native seedlings can establish. English ivy also harbors bacterial leaf scorch and can act as a reservoir for aphids and spider mites that then spread to surrounding plants. Removing it from a mature tree without damaging the bark requires patience, proper technique, and years of follow-up. For ground cover under trees, consider planting native alternatives like wild ginger, creeping phlox, or Pennsylvania sedge. These provide the same lush green look without the hostile takeover. If you find this information useful, share this video with a gardening friend. One share could save someone years of regret. Plant number 3, Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed is in a category of its own when it comes to garden destruction. Originally brought from East Asia as an ornamental plant in the 1800s, it has since become one of the most destructive invasive species in North America and Europe. The UK alone spends an estimated £166 million annually trying to manage it. The root system of Japanese knotweed can reach depths of 10 feet and spread laterally up to 60 feet from the parent plant. A fragment of root just 1 centimeter long can produce a new plant. This means mowing it, tilling it, or digging it carelessly actually spreads it further. Burning it or composting it on site is equally dangerous. In many regions, Japanese knotweed growing near a property boundary can legally complicate home sales and mortgage approvals. It damages foundations, drainage systems, and retaining walls. What starts as a single clump can consume a full garden in 3 to 5 growing seasons. Professional removal typically involves either years of repeated herbicide application or complete soil excavation. Neither option is cheap. Neither option is fast. Prevention is the only real strategy with this plant.
Plant number 4, burning bush. Burning bush became a landscaping staple because of one thing, that spectacular fiery red color in autumn. Nurseries moved enormous quantities of it throughout the second half of the 20th century, and it still lines the driveways and foundation plantings of homes across the country. The problem is burning bush seeds prolifically, and birds love the berries. Every berry a bird eats becomes a new burning bush wherever that bird travels. In woodland edges, forest understories, and natural areas across the eastern United States, burning bush has displaced native shrubs that wildlife depend on for food and habitat. Several states, including Massachusetts and New Hampshire, have banned its sale entirely. Beyond the ecological damage, burning bush is a host plant for certain scale insects, and once a scale infestation takes hold on a mature specimen, it is very difficult to eliminate without repeated treatment. Native alternatives that offer equally dramatic fall color include Itea virginica, native viburnums, or the oak leaf hydrangea. These plants support local ecosystems rather than disrupting them, and many are equally or more ornamentally attractive. Subscribe to Seniors Gardening Advice if you want more content like this delivered straight to your feed. The subscribe button is right below this video. Plant number 5, bishop's weed, goutweed, or Agopodium podagraria. Bishop's weed has tricked generations of gardeners with its cheerful, variegated leaves and reputation as a low-maintenance ground cover. It fills shady spots quickly, which sounds perfect. The problem is that it fills everything else quickly too. Goutweed spreads through underground rhizomes that move through the soil in every direction. It weaves itself through the root systems of perennials, shrubs, and even small trees. When you try to pull it out, the rhizomes break apart and every piece left behind generates a new plant. Digging out established goutweed from a mixed planting bed is essentially impossible without destroying everything else in that bed. Gardeners have reported that goutweed has crossed under fence lines to invade neighboring properties. In some cases, the only way to fully remove it is to strip the bed down to bare soil, solarize it with clear plastic sheeting during the hottest months of summer to kill rhizome fragments through heat, and start completely from scratch. Using deep physical root barriers, at least 12 inches tall, is recommended if someone insists on growing it, but honestly, the safer choice is never to start. Plant number 6, sweet autumn clematis. Sweet autumn clematis looks breathtaking when it blooms. Masses of small white flowers cover every surface in late summer, and the fragrance is genuinely lovely. This is precisely how it earns a place in the garden and then proceeds to take over. The issue is seed production. Sweet autumn clematis generates thousands of feathery seeds that float on the wind and germinate wherever they land. In a single season, a mature vine can produce so many seeds that the surrounding area becomes carpeted in seedlings the following spring. Those seedlings are vigorous, grow fast, and if not addressed immediately, become woody vines that are far harder to remove. The vine itself grows rapidly. Some gardeners have measured 12 to 15 feet of growth in a single season. It climbs over trellises, through shrubs, up trees, and smothers everything underneath with a dense mat of foliage that blocks sunlight completely. When removing it,
Pulling the vine triggers dormant root buds, which often produces even more vigorous regrowth. Cutting it back hard and then treating the crown repeatedly is the more effective, though time-consuming, removal strategy. Native clematis species like Clematis virginiana offer similar aesthetics with far more manageable behavior and better support for native pollinators. Plant number 7, wisteria, especially non-native varieties. This might be the most controversial entry on this list because wisteria is genuinely one of the most beautiful flowering vines in existence. The cascading purple blooms, the intoxicating fragrance, wisteria inspires more garden envy than almost any other plant. And yet, experienced landscapers have a saying, wisteria is a plant you plant for the next owner of the house to regret. Non-native wisteria, specifically Japanese wisteria, Wisteria floribunda, and Chinese wisteria, Wisteria sinensis, grow with extraordinary aggression. The woody vines can reach the size of small tree trunks within a decade. They wrap around and girdle trees, bend gutters, pull apart pergolas, and work their way under roof shingles. The root system spreads widely and is nearly impossible to fully excavate once established. What most people don't know is that wisteria can take 7 to 15 years to bloom from seed-grown plants, which means homeowners often plant it, wait years for flowers, and then find themselves unable to control it just as it finally begins to perform. The flowers, seed pods, and bark of wisteria are also toxic to pets and children, which is a safety concern many gardeners overlook entirely. American wisteria, Wisteria regencens, and Kentucky wisteria, Wisteria macrostachya, are native alternatives that bloom reliably, grow far more manageably, and still produce that stunning floral display. The cultivar Blue Moon, in particular, blooms multiple times per season and stays controllable with annual pruning. This is the swap worth making. After 50 decades of watching plants behave in real gardens, the pattern is always the same. The plants that cause the most regret are the ones that look the most appealing at the moment of purchase. Aggressive growth, beautiful flowers, fast coverage, these are the marketing points that hide the real long-term cost. The good news is that for every problematic plant on this list, there's a better alternative that delivers the same aesthetic without the maintenance nightmare. Native plants, in particular, have earned an increasingly important place in modern landscaping because they support local wildlife, require far less intervention, and tend to stay where they're planted. Before adding any new plant to a yard, spend a few minutes researching its growth habit, its root spread, and whether it's been flagged as invasive in the local region. That few minutes of research can save weeks of removal work later. If this video helped, please press the like button. It genuinely makes a difference in how many gardeners this content can reach. Drop a comment below sharing which plant gave the most trouble in the yard. The Seniors Gardening Advice community always has great stories, and it helps other gardeners know they are not alone. Share this video with someone who is about to start a new garden or renovate an existing one. That share might save them years of headache. Every plant decision is a long-term commitment. Choose carefully, plant wisely, and the garden will reward that patience for years to come.